Folks, we are getting some breaking news out of South Carolina, where a special election that was just held in South Carolina's 50th State House District has just concluded with the Democratic candidate defeating the Republican candidate by over 41 points. Democrat Keyshawn Scott defeated the Republican candidate William Oden by 41 points in a district that former Vice President Kamala Harris won by only about 5 in 2024. So about a 36-point overperformance by the Democratic candidate Keyshawn Scott in this State House district, the 50th State House district. Yep, with 100% of the results reporting, Keyshawn Scott, 24 years old, wins in a 41-point blowout and heads to the South Carolina House of Representatives over William Oden. A big, big deal. Folks are talking about the 41-point overperformance, but very few folks are putting a face to the name. Take a look, everybody, as Paolo Cremita says, of Representative-elect Keyshawn Scott. He's a pro-choice young rural candidate, and that's what wins. This is how we outrun and how bold politics can defeat fascism. We're getting word from the leader of the DNC, Ken Martin, who's been commenting on a lot of these big Democratic overperformances in the recent special elections across the country. Ken Martin writes, "Congratulations to Keyshawn Scott on his landslide victory and massive overperformance tonight in South Carolina. Tonight's results are a reminder that voters are siding with strong Democratic leaders who will fight for working families across the country." The South Carolina Democratic Party wished a major congratulations to Keyshawn Scott on winning the 2025 special election for the South Carolina House District 50 at just 24 years old. Representative Scott is bringing fresh energy and bold leadership to Lee, Sumter, and Kershaw counties. Let's go, Keyshawn. Hashtag South Carolina Dems. Now, I'll give you just a little more background about this House district. So voters in parts of Sumter, Lee, and Kershaw counties went to the polls Tuesday to select a new representative for South Carolina House District 50 in a special election. The race featured Republican William Oden and Democrat Keyshawn Scott. Oden is a retired U.S. Air Force member, while Scott currently serves on the Bishopville City Council. The seat became vacant back in January when the former Representative William Wheeler abruptly resigned from office to take a new job. Wheeler had represented the district for 8 years and had just won re-election in November 2024 after facing no opposition in the primary or general election. Under state law, a primary and then a special election had to be held to fill this seat. Let's learn a little bit more about Keyshawn Scott. Now the representative-elect for House District 50 in South Carolina, a young minister from Bishopville running in the special election in June to protect a Democratic seat in the South Carolina House. Scott learned the importance of serving others as a kid while volunteering at a local senior center during his summer breaks. He's now grown into a dedicated public servant who works to uplift all members of the community. And if Keyshawn wins his bid for the South Carolina House, he is committed to improving life for working families by pushing for progress on issues like access to quality healthcare and public education. Let's take a listen to Keyshawn Scott. Here's what he has to say. Play this clip.
So I would say some of the biggest needs as far as District 50 definitely directly relates to our need for workforce development, our need for access to healthcare, our need for improving the quality education that we provide to the students, and then also just making sure that we're able to continue to sustain and even help to further grow our infrastructure and development in District 50.
Now, folks, we've been focusing on Democratic overperformances, MAGA Republican underperformances throughout the country. For example, on March 25th, 2025, we reported Democrat James Malone defeated the Republican County Commissioner Josh Parsons in the special election for Pennsylvania's Senate District 36. flipping a district Trump carried by 15.4% in the 2024 election, a huge upset for the Democrats. And I don't think it was really the last time was like the 19th century where a Democrat won in that area in the Pennsylvania Senate District 36. You take a look at the State Senate District 35 in Iowa. In the first special election since Donald Trump took office, Democrat Mike Zimmer back on January 28th, 2025, defeated the Republican Katie Elizabeth Whittington to flip Iowa's State Senate District 35, a district Donald Trump won by 21 points in the November 2024 election. New York Senate seat 22 special election that was held on May 20th, 2025. Democrat Sam Sutton won this Senate special election seat. Trump won this district last year by, let me check, Ted Lieu says, 55 points. Also going to Omaha, Nebraska, the longest serving Republican incumbent mayor who won by 20 points in 2021, lost her seat to the Democratic candidate, the mayor-elect Ewing Jr. over there in Omaha. The Democrat won. The commonality that we're seeing with all of these races is we have a Democrat who is running on issues that matter to people, on healthcare, on infrastructure, on jobs, on housing, on women's reproductive rights, on equality, on the climate, not afraid to talk about these issues. And you have all of these Republicans running on culture war issues. For example, in the Omaha, Nebraska mayoral race where the MAGA Republican candidate lost, we saw the MAGA Republican candidate focusing on bathrooms and peepees and vagina, like stuff where voters are like, just stop it. Just treat freaking people with respect treat human beings with decency and focus on the issues that matter. There, the Democrat who won was focusing on roads. We need to fix our roads. We need to make our electric grids work. We need a functioning government. I think this is all an important lesson for Democrats heading into the midterms in 2026. So much of what corporate media wants to talk about, corporate news wants to talk about, are all of these narratives that people aren't talking about themselves at their kitchen tables, in their homes, in their apartments. It was Senator Bernie Sanders who said this to me, and it was so important. I want to leave you all with this. He said, Ben, the most important issues confronting the American people are often the issues that are least discussed on the news and least discussed in public. We need to speak to those issues. We need to talk about why we need to tax the rich more, why everybody deserves health care for free, why everybody deserves a cheap and affordable or free education, why everybody who works a job should not have to face the psychological torture of living paycheck to paycheck, that they can afford to buy a house. They could afford their rent. They're not worried they're going to have to make a decision about whether they pay their rent or feed their kids. We need to talk about the issues of climate. We need to talk about these issues of women's reproductive rights. We need to talk about equality and not run away from it and act like, oh, DEI. Yeah, heck yeah, we like diversity. Heck yeah, we want equality and equity and inclusion. This is a melting pot. This is the United States, damn it. And don't let these MAGA bullies tell you otherwise. Be proud about your values. And we're seeing it. The results show when you stand by your convictions. We're seeing it over and over again. Congratulations to Democrat Keyshawn Scott, who won the special election for South Carolina's 50th State House District, about a 37 point overperformance of where Donald Trump and former Vice President Kamala Harris were in that exact district. Folks, I see the momentum heading into the midterms. You can take a look at the generic poll by Atlas Intel, the best pollsters right now, or the most accurate pollsters, I should say, in 2024. The generic poll shows Democrats up 52 to 41% against Republicans. Don't give up. Polls don't vote. Stay in the fight. Hang in there, folks. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Happy to deliver that positive news.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.